Hey guys, welcome to Masquerade of Motherhood, or as I like to call it, the Mom Show. I'm your host, Courtney Doyle, and this is a place where I am giving you permission to not have it all together. I have some really exciting news. Due to the response from the podcast, I have decided to take the Mom Show on the road. Yep, you heard that right. I am looking to partner with mom groups, small groups, women's events, or Bible studies. They could be in your home or in your church. I want us to join together and remove the masks we wear and claim our identity in Christ. If you're part of a group and you would like for me to speak, follow the link to my website, CourtneyDoyleMinistries.com, and complete the request. This month, our episodes are dedicated to mental health and suicide awareness. Our guests will bravely share personal stories from their experiences with their children. We want to emphasize that these topics are sensitive and could be triggering for some listeners. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please know that there are resources linked in the show notes of each episode. We approach these discussions with care and empathy, aiming to raise awareness and provide support. Thank you for tuning in as we navigate these important conversations together. Welcome to the Mom Show, where we tackle the real and raw experiences of motherhood. Today on the show is my friend Jeanette Tapley. Jeanette's journey as a mother took an unexpected twist when she realized her son was battling depression and suicidal ideations. We delve deep into Jeanette's journey, into her strength, her faith, and the lessons she learned in this season. I know that you are going to be inspired and encouraged. Here's my conversation with Jeanette. Guys, welcome back to the show. My guest today is actually a really good friend that we met via another ministry and then came together. It's been 2 years ago, Jeanette?
Yeah, right around now.
Yeah. And she is a mama. She's a podcast host. She's all the things. And I want to turn the mic over to you, though, immediately, because I want you to tell my listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Yeah. Ugh. First of all, I'm your friend, and I love that. I love that, like, we get to do this together. It's so fun.
I know.
I'm Jeanette Tapley. So I live in Central Texas. I'm originally from Alaska. I was born and raised in Alaska. My husband, Jesse, and I have been married for almost 20 years. We got married very young. And I'm a mom of 3 teenagers. And that to me blows my mind. But I love being friends like with you because I'm like, okay, like I'm starting college prep, and who knew that college prep was like a full-time job? Because I didn't go to college. And as I'm like looking at my oldest and I'm like blazing a trail, I'm like, okay, we have to do this. And I looked at my husband, I'm like, did your mom help you with college prep? And he was like, no. I'm like,
No, the
no.
requirements were different, though, Jeanette.
Yeah, it's different.
It's so
I'm sure
much
it's
now.
different even than 10 years ago. Like, I'm sure it's
Oh,
different.
yeah.
And so we're doing that, but we have 3 teenagers and 2 dogs. And I'm a speaker. I'm a podcaster. I love to write. I'm actually just in this year, like owning that I'm a content creator. I really enjoy creating content for people, whether it's like silly videos on the internet or like workbooks and stuff like that. I just really like making things.
Yeah.
And I want to feel like I am the friend on the internet that you talk about. And people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, invite her over. And you're like, oh, I actually don't know her. She's just my friend on the internet. So
It's who
that's how I
you
want
are,
to
though.
feel. Oh, you're so
That's who
sweet.
you are. You're like everybody's friend. And you do such a good job ministering to people about friendship and how to be a good
Oh,
friend
thanks.
and just being yourself. So you do a great job at that content creation and welcoming strangers in to make them feel like we've known each other forever. That's what's so inviting about you. But you are a mom to 3
Yeah,
teenagers. Bless you. I get it.
you've been
I
there.
get it. I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. College application. It's like, I didn't know I needed a college degree to apply my children for college. What in the world?
Yeah.
So I get that too.
Literally.
Hmm.
Literally. I'm just like, what? Also, like, everyone's, oh, yeah, we're going on all these college tours. I'm like, but how do you do that? And so I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah. And then you'll be an expert at it. Here was the best thing for me is that, um, I had a girl in the middle of that was very motivated to do things herself. And so she
Mm.
taught us. And then her little sister followed that role. She's very organized. And then they collectively took care of the boys.
Oh,
So
I love that. Yeah.
you need to find another like 18-year-old girl that you could hire and be like, hey, show me your ways because The girls tend to like have, or in my life, they just had it all together. They had done a lot of the
Yeah.
research for me and how to do the things. So that may
Okay,
be
that's
some
what I'm
help.
gonna do. I'm gonna look at some of the girls, like who can help me do this because
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Like I'm excited for this next season, but man, oh man, so many logins. Like you think it's a lot of logins when you're like starting the school year, right? Like everyone's throwing you like all your different stuff. There's more.
And send this and write this and do this. And yeah, here's my advice. Here's the good news. It really doesn't matter. Of course, you have to do the actual application, right? You have to do all the requirements. But what I learned about college and visiting and applying and all the things was that God had already chosen a place for
Yeah.
her. And it really didn't matter. God
Mm.
knew all along.
Yeah.
We just had to get to that point. And so I was a little less freaked out with the other kids.
Yeah.
God will put you where he wants you and we'll figure it out from there. And if it's not where you're supposed to be, it's okay. We'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's so good.
there's my
Yep. And
advice.
I love that advice. I love that. I'll take it, I'll receive it, and I'll remember it. But he is my kid that we're going to talk about because the future
Yeah, tell
overwhelms
us.
him greatly. And
Okay.
so I have to be really like careful in because I want to shove everything. So here's the 5 schools we want to look at. Okay. So let's start nailing down like times and dates to go look at that. And he like freezes up. And so I have to
Mm-hmm.
like, we have to coax it out of him and like, all right, let's do this. And so otherwise, I worry that I overwhelm that child. I'm a lot of a personality to come at him and let's do this. So he's funny.
And that's fair. Look, we're
Yeah,
moms, and that's what we tend to do,
yeah,
right? We tend to want to control and figure out and overwhelm sometimes when we don't mean
yeah,
to. And speaking of that child, let's jump in. This season is
yeah.
all about moms crying out saying, "Help, my child is." And so I want you to fill in that blank for the listeners.
Mm. Oof, it's so hard because, like I said, it's been almost a year now, and to look at my kid and be like, help. My kid's depressed. My kid is struggling with suicidal ideations was something I never thought I would say.
Mm.
It was It was so scary and devastating, and it felt like it honestly felt like shocking because I think like when we're raising kids, it's no, you live a great life. Everything's fine. And then when you're like hit with this like darkness, you're like, oh, I didn't realize that the world could get to you like
Mm,
that.
mm. We're just gonna take a moment for that, right?
I know. Sorry, Courtney. Oh,
Well,
I told you. I told
it's
you.
look, it's okay to cry through these episodes.
We're gonna do it.
How did you know? Like, what led to you realizing there is a deep darkness over my son's life? Did you see it
Yeah.
coming or was it just like out of left field?
It's so interesting because I really didn't see the darkness. I saw this disobedience, and he's our firstborn, so he's the one that's easy. Like
Yeah.
he's the firstborn, so this is what I'm supposed to do. I do these things. I get good grades. I do this. Like he just follows the norm or like the expectations placed on him, I should say. And he started acting out like wild, and we're just like we're hitting him with not hitting him. We are like coming up with punishment on punishment, and we're like trying to like, what is going on? Why are you acting out this way? We were just so confused with his behavior that we just felt like stuck. Like to the point where we looked at him, and my kid has both of my boys have like beautiful hair. Like I like to think that they get it from me. But they both have great hair. And we looked at him one day and we said, the next time you do XYZ, we're shaving your head.
Okay.
We're gonna start like taking from you what matters to you if you can't do what the simple task of just going to school. Could you just stay in class? That's all we're asking of you. Just stay in the building. Next time you skip class, we're shaving your head. And I'm so glad that we didn't. That was really honestly, we were like, we have nothing left. Like, how else do you parent? Like, that's we're like, what do we do? And we were Jesse had surprised me on a really fun Valentine's Day. We were like zipping away for 24 hours to Disneyland. That's one of my favorite places.
It is.
It is. I love it so much. And the beauty was we were going to get to see one of our favorite princesses who's become friends with us after going viral with her. She's one of our favorites, one of our favorite friends. And so we were going to like get to have like dinner with her and all this stuff. It was going to be amazing. And it was amazing. Halfway through the day, I get a text from this kid. I'm anxious all night long. Like I had a really hard time sleeping. I was really anxious on the plane, and I don't struggle with like anxiety. I get like anxious and nervous or stuff, but like I was coming off of like a year that like I was like, oh, that was probably a year I was depressed. And so it's like really figuring out my feelings again. And I was just really anxious, really just struggling that morning, trying to like let it go, be present with Jesse. This is a really fun day. Oh my gosh. Halfway through our morning at Disneyland, I get a text from our oldest, and he says, I'm sorry. And I'm like immediately in go mode. What's going on? What can I like? What do you mean? I call him. He's at school. I call him. He answers the phone. He's, hold on, the counselor wants to talk to you. And he had sat in his car all morning, gripping his steering wheel, trying his hardest to, to stay.
Mm.
And a teacher, God bless teachers. A teacher saw him and was like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And he was like, "I'm fine." And his girlfriend at the time was like, I don't think you're fine. And he's like, oh, I'm fine. And his teacher dragged him to the crisis counselor.
Wow. Wow. What are the
And we're
chances a
out of
teacher's going to be
state.
in the parking lot?
Yeah, just seeing him struggle. And so we were like, so then we're in Disneyland.
You're out
And
of state.
I'm out of state. The crisis counselor calls me. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Can he go home? And she's like, he can't be alone. I'm like, okay. So we do what every normal, sane person does. And we call our best friends and
Mm.
say, this is what's going on. And our best friends are, so Matt is Juliana's husband. My best friend is also my husband's best friend. Like we're four all together. So Matt lovingly goes and scoops him up out of school and
Mm.
sits with them all day and spends the night at our house because we weren't supposed to fly home till the morning. And he just sat with him and he was with him and he kept him safe. And that was Zeke honestly slept after Matt picked him up and fed him. He slept in Matt's truck for I think 6 hours. Like he just once it was all out, he rested. And it
Mm.
was a beautiful thing. So we flew home the next day. We went straight to our doctor, our family doctor. He started immediately on medication. He saw a counselor immediately. And the next 6 months was just like all eyes on like we are a very like dark sense of humor family anyways. But like we were just at the doctor for his like 1 year checkup. And he said, he failed his eye exam. He's like, I told you last year that my eyes weren't good. And I was like, hey, bro, I was out last year. I was keeping you alive. I didn't
Yeah.
really care about your vision. So we'll get glasses. Now I will get you
Right.
glasses.
Now we
So
can address the eyesight.
yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was probably up until June. It was constant eyes. Like we pulled him out of school. We homeschooled him for the last quarter of the semester because we needed to make sure he was safe. That was like his safety and like eyes on him was like the most important thing. But yeah, it was a day and we were so helpless anyways because we were so far away. So it was amazing that it was so out of our control. It was all our community. It was a teacher, it was a friend, it was himself. Like he had to keep himself safe that day. And it was just all hands on deck. And Jesse and I literally sat at the castle and we're just like, what is happening? What do we
Mm.
do? And it was like, you can't do anything. And it was like, as soon as we hit the ground, we can. But right now, we can't do anything. And I feel like that's parenting in so many ways, right? It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
when I can, I will, but I can't right now.
Yeah. And leading up to that day that you got the call that
Yeah.
he had confessed that he was not wanting to be alive,
Yeah.
did you imagine that? Like you said he was acting out, he was being disobedient. You mentioned he was skipping school. So of course the hammer's coming down with the
Yeah.
punishments and I'm sure
Yeah.
the restrictions and things like that for his behavior. But in all of that, Did you ever define that as depression and suicidal ideations? Or was
Oh,
it just
no.
disobedient teenager?
That's all I saw was just a disobedient teenager. I never would have thought, oh, this is what depression looks like in a
Mm,
16-year-old kid. It honestly was just like, you're making bad choices better than this. And it wasn't, and we were telling him, this is what your flesh is desiring to do. Oh, this is a good idea. What are you thinking? And that's why I said, I'm so glad we didn't shave his head, because I feel like had we done that, it would have almost broke something in him that was already broken that we didn't know. And yeah, it wasn't, that's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned in that season was depression doesn't always look like depression. Like
mm,
it masks itself in so many different ways that I just didn't know. I have never struggled with my depression looked so different in the year before. I wasn't acting out. I wasn't being like bad or naughty. I was like down. That's what I thought depression was.
right.
And in reality, it looks so different for every person. Um, like my grandfather struggles with depression, and with him, it looks like a grouchy, grumpy old man.
Mm,
That's what I thought depression was. And so, yeah,
right.
it just when we were walking through that like disobedience, I was just like, what the heck? And even in that season, we were like, you need to go see a counselor. Like it just didn't look like what I thought it looked like.
Yeah. I think that's such good advice and such a good word because in these interviews that I've had where we've talked about depression, we've talked about anxiety, and anxiety is another one that a lot of the people that I've interviewed have said it did not look the way I thought
Yeah.
anxiety looked. Maybe if
Yeah.
like in a child it came out as anger versus anxiety. And so I think a lot of people imagine depression as somebody who's withdrawn. They want to stay in their
Yeah.
room. They don't want to eat, they don't want to get up, that kind of thing, lack of motivation, which are all symptoms of depression. But what you're saying
Yeah.
is, no, he was getting up. He was rocking the world with his decisions.
Yeah. I never, it was, he was just a normal kid. If he slept long, it's because he's a teenager. And we're
Yeah.
not the ones that are like, wake up at 7, do all of this. It was like he was still active in sports. He was still sleepy. It wasn't anything except for the disobedience. And we were just like, and again, he's our firstborn. So we're like, we expect more of you. This is not okay. So we probably weren't helping a ton once we could like decipher it. And now like we just have different conversations now. It's like the conversations and the expectations now are like the way we present them are just different. And they're getting bigger. So our lectures are getting shorter. Where it's this is the family rules. This is what we expect, but you also get to make your own life choices and like not life choices. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
getting shorter now. Like the conversations are
Hmm.
different now.
Yeah. When you talk to him about where his head was in this depression and these thoughts of suicide, what does he say? What is his voice to how he got there and what was going on? Was there something that triggered this in him? Was it a combination of things? What led to this point for him from his viewpoint, if
I
you
don't
can
know that he
share?
would Yeah, I don't know that he would even say or even know. We when we were like diving into it, I think it was our doctor said, like, you need to give this a name. You need to name your feelings kind of thing. And we took that very seriously as we gave his depression like a person's name. So when we talk about his depression, it's a person, like it's a name. And so we're like,
Interesting.
how is so and so doing right now? And he's always there, but he's quiet right now or something like that. So we gave him like this like persona because it's not Z. Like
Interesting.
it's not him, but it's this like little voice. And I don't know if that's like helpful or weird or what, but that's what we did. And so if he has
No,
to
I,
talk
I think
about
it's
it,
great because it's not a secret. It's
yeah.
not a
Oh yeah,
secret.
no.
We're not putting baby in the corner, right? This isn't a
Yeah,
dirty dancing
yeah,
moment. This is a real thing, and we're going to talk about it
yeah,
as a family.
yeah.
It's got
And
to
so
give him
if he's
such freedom to
struggling,
talk to y'all.
yeah. And if it's like coming up more, he's like, hey, so and so, like the name of his depression, so and so's getting a little bit loud right now. It's, oh, okay, like what's happening? What's going on? Are you feeling
Oh,
anxious about something? And like the last time it was reared its ugly head, it was like, I'm just really stressed out about the future. Okay, tell me more about that. And so it's like, so we just are able to like communicate about it more. And I think before he carried such the weight of expectation and the weight of like, this is like, I'm my example. I'm the example for my siblings. I'm this, I
mm,
am this. And it's like, hold on a second. Because when you weren't all of these things, like when you were actually like failing, were you loved less? No.
Mm,
Were we chasing after you and seeking you and pressing into you? Yes. Okay, so now you know that's a lie, right? Like you can now see that's a lie. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so when you think that, when that voice says that to you, we say, no, that's not true. That's just not true. When I'm overwhelmed, when I'm stressed out, when I am down, I have to tell myself the truth. I have to speak truth to myself. It's very much the same as like taking every thought captive. Stephen
mm-hmm,
Furtick had an amazing sermon that stuck with me for years. And he says, the Bible says, take every thought captive. And it's not like, oh, that's a bad thought. I'm going to put it away. No, that
mm-hmm,
thought is a prisoner of war. Why are
mm,
you here? How did you get in? What intel do you have that I need to know? You have to interrogate it because that
mm,
thought does not belong and you have to get rid of it. It's not like I shouldn't think that anymore. It's like, where did you come from?
mm.
What's your intent? And so that's what we talked about. And then the big thing I made him do is I made him read the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis,
Yeah.
which is the letters between two demons. It's like an older uncle demon training up a younger demon. And I was like, I want you to read this and I want you to think about our world. Think about spiritual warfare because it's very real. And I think what you want to think about demons and all of that. That's your own thought. I was raised very believing in demons and very much this is spiritual warfare. And I had him read it and I was like, so the next time you feel these things, you need to know that your life is worth more and that's why you're being messed with.
Mhm.
That like this is why. And so we just have a lot of like really honest, hard conversations. And I can honestly say a year later, I look at it, every holidays hit different last year. And I'm just like, man, I'm so glad you're here. I'm just so glad you're here. Like no greater gift than to have survived this last year, but also like to look back a year and be like, I had no idea. All these things I had no idea. But also to be like, I had no idea what closeness would bring, what healing was needed. And as we get ready to like, we're still a year away from launching, but as that this 18 months is gonna fly by.
Yeah.
And I have so much, I'm like, I have so much to tell you. Like I have so much to
Mhm.
teach you. And so it's as we like around this corner on the last year of high school, I'm like, all right, you have to know how to take care of yourself. So we talk a lot about like working out. You have to be in the gym. I don't care what kind of gym you're
Mhm.
in, but this is good for your brains. As we say a lot. We don't say you were depressed last year, so we have to work on this. And so, no, this is good for your brain. This is
Mm.
a healthy fat. It's actually really good for your brain. And they probably hate how much I say that, but I need that reminder. I need to know what's good for my brain. There's reasons that our brains are the way they are, and it's because we need brain health. We need good brain health and we need to be taking care of ourselves. And as he like launches, I have to know that he will make good choices to take care of his brain.
And like we were just saying, being able to communicate that and it not be this secret and looking at it from a positive way. Okay, so this is how your brain works. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way your
No.
brain is working.
Yeah.
And so, how do we accept the way that our brain and our bodies are reacting to circumstances around us? Maybe the expectations, like you said, you have now identified that obviously there was a switch that was flipped that
Yeah.
was not healthy for you. So, how do we keep fueling the healthy side of this and make it better? You mentioned that your friends showed up on that day, which is such a
Yeah.
gift to have the community around you. But did you try to mask it though, outside of, and I know you probably did to an extent because of privacy for him, right? That
Yeah.
makes sense. But also, did you feel a sense that as you were recognizing, I'm on board with you and the demons, there is an enemy. He is an enemy of this world. And of course, he is after us. And if he can't get to us, he's going after our children. And I don't say that to be hokey pokey and scary to people,
No.
but you need to be aware. And so,
Yeah.
did you find as the enemy's attacking your son with this depression and these suicidal thoughts, was he then in turn trying to attack you as his mom? Jeanette, you should have done this differently. You should have done this better. You should have been more aware. How could you miss that this kid didn't want to
Yeah.
be here? Did you hear all of those lies?
Oh, yeah. And I think like the hardest part is I show up on the internet and talk about friendship. I show up on the internet and I talk about parenting. I
Mm,
show up on the internet and I talk about whatever. And I just felt really stuck. I was just like, I don't know how to show up. and not be transparent. And there was a lot there was like just not it wasn't time to be shared.
Yeah.
And even like we talked about, oh my gosh, we're doing something we never thought we'd do. We're homeschooling. But that's all we said. We didn't talk a lot about it. So there was a lot of masking. The beautiful thing is like our friends close knew, like our community definitely was like riding with us in a really beautiful way. But showing up on my podcast show. And there's definitely some episodes where I bet you if you go back and listen, like you can hear my heart. Where I remember
Mhm.
I interviewed Strawn. Oh gosh, it was a beautiful conversation. But if you like listen back, I'm probably like weeping because he's talking about like his depression and how he found God. And I'm like, but tell me, like, is it possible to love God and be depressed? It was just like my heart was so in it. And so I definitely wore a mask, and not one that was like everything is okay, because I was pretty honest. There's a lot going on. And in the same 2 years, you and I have been friends for longer than 2 years in person. My father has been diagnosed with bladder cancer and is like never doing great. And I have a son who's struggling to stay alive. I have a daughter who is getting diagnosed with a mood disorder. I just, it honestly just, there was at one point I was like, hey, God, I'd love to catch a break. Like, I would just love that.
Oh gosh.
Maybe even a small one. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not even catch it, but just like near me. Like I'll swim to it. I just could we stop? Like, also, do you
I
hate
don't
me?
mean to
Like,
laugh,
what's
but
going on? That's how I felt. Like, I I like there's been one other time in my life where I looked at Jesse and I said, I think the Lord hates me. And he was
Mhm.
like, eat your pasta. We'll talk about this later. And I was like, okay. But we like looked at each other like in the course of last year. We're like, I don't think we're Job because we're not like righteous enough to be Job. But I was like, this
Mhm.
feels very Joby. Like, this is like awful.
Yeah.
And so there was definitely a lot of masking, but there was also just a lot of, I don't even know. I'm so thankful that I was already in counseling. And because I would just hit my counselor's chair and just be like, oh my God, what's happening? And yeah, so there for sure. There was for sure masking. There was for sure the people who, you just that just know it all and that you're just like, I literally have nothing left to give. And
Yeah.
those people are the ones that carry you. And I always say, I think 2022 was a year that our friends carried us to the mat, like carried us on the mat, like we're thrashing and like just like fighting. And they're like, we're trying to get you to Jesus, chill out. And
Yeah.
in 2023 was the year that our friends like held our arms up. It was like, okay, we're healed. Like we can be better. Like we can take a deep breath and we can do this, but we need our arms held up. And they definitely did that for us. And so I just I don't know that I could have masked it any more than I did. And there was times where it wasn't masked well. And there was times where I just didn't show up online because it was like nothing left to give. And that's okay.
It's any mom that's listening to this will know when your kids are little and they're running a high fever and you just can't get it to come down and it's almost like your body is hurting as bad as their body is hurting for them. And that's just a fever when they're little. And
Yeah.
then when you get these big, serious issues in life with your kids, it can be so debilitating to you as a mom as well. And like
Yeah.
the Job reference, we've been through some things and people used to jokingly say, "Oh my gosh, y'all are like Job. Do y'all ever feel like Job?" Because it was just like one hit after another, loss of the house, this, that. And I used to just be like, same thing. I don't think I'm like Job. I don't want to be like Job at all.
Yeah. I don't want
Um,
to be tested that much, but
yeah, can we just not talk about that? But there were so many times that same and it wasn't like, "Oh, I don't wanna get on this internet space." It was just, I don't wanna get up. I don't wanna do anything. Like, maybe if I just don't do anything, this will stop.
yeah.
If I just stay in
Yeah.
bed, will this just stop?
Yeah.
And we went through a season where I was so angry at God. I felt like my relationship with the Lord at that point had grown exponentially in a very short amount of time. And this just love affair that I had for him, like I could not get enough. If the church was
Yeah.
open, I wanted to be there. If there was a Bible study, I was in too, answering
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
questions. And then things started happening with our oldest son. And I was just so like, why us? Why
Yeah.
him?
Yeah.
And I didn't even wanna go to church. I couldn't even get myself to be in the presence of the Lord because I was just like, "I'm just mad at you."
Yeah.
Couldn't you
Yeah.
have picked on somebody else? It's been years now, 15 years since that first started happening. And now, even now, sometimes when I'm overwhelmed by situations and I think I just don't want to do it, I can hear God going, maybe get up.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
done. We're not done. We're going to get
Yeah.
up. We're going to fight. And I had a very distinct moment in a closet, and I've talked about it before, where I was flat on my face, mad, pitching a holy temper tantrum in front of the Lord about a situation with my older son. And I remember him saying, "Get up. We're at war. We are at war with a real enemy,
Yeah.
but you're at war with me.
Yeah.
This isn't me and you against each other. And this is God speaking to me. This isn't me and you against each other. This is me and you in war together against the enemy, and he doesn't win. So
Yeah.
can you fight this battle as a mom, even though it's difficult, as a victorious mom with a child that will be victorious, whether it's victorious on this earth or not? Can we live
Yeah.
in victory?" And it was such a moment for me. And I just remember like physically rising from the floor and saying, "Oh, I don't have the strength, Lord, but
Yeah.
I got to come out of the closet at some point. I can't live here. I can't live here in my
Yeah.
fit. I want to." And I do think that community and friends are, and it's, if you don't have those people close to you that you can be just really raw and this is
Yeah.
all that's happening, you got to find them. And like you
Yeah.
said, the therapist was exponentially helpful in facing this. Where was God in all of this
Mm.
for your son? Was it,
Yeah.
did you try the approach of, let's just pray about this, or
Gosh,
quoting
yeah.
scripture, or like, where was his relationship with the Lord before this, and has it evolved?
Oh my gosh. So before, like during the, he's a church kid. That's just
Yeah.
who we are. He's a church kid. He's a camp kid. He coaches out at camp. Texas camps are huge. And so he's one of those coaches out there. And that was my mantra to him last spring was let's just get to camp. Because once you're on campus, like once you're at camp, I think you'll remember. I think not that like camp
Hmm.
fixes everything, but I think you'll be okay once we get there. And it's a Christian camp. So that's mostly why I was like, I just need to be around these people. But during it all, he was, I don't know what my belief is. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, figure it out.
Hmm.
Why don't you know what your faith is? Because you've known up till now, you've known your faith. Like you've actually owned your faith really well. So like, why not? I almost was like lovingly sassy to him. Okay, cool. You don't know? Figure it out. Like you're smart. What don't you know? And a lot of it was that like if God is good or if God is so loving and kind, then why am I struggling with this? Like why am I struggling like this? And I was like, because we live in a broken world. I don't have much more than that, but this isn't our home. This isn't what he has for us. And so it was a lot of questioning, a lot of just figuring it out for himself, a lot of just I had to be a little hands off because I wanted to be too hands on. I wanted to I was already helicoptering hard
Sure.
because I work from home and he had to be home at school for school. So it's already helicoptering pretty hard. And so I like it's almost like the one area that I could let go and let God was his faith. Like I can't earn your faith for you. I can't like fix your faith for you. If you're gonna do this part, I need you to do this part. And he read one of JD Palooka's books, something about like why do I do what I don't want to do? One of those books. I think it was
Hmm.
JP, something like that.
Hmm.
I'll send you the book later. And it was just like, okay, you go run, you come home and you read a chapter of a book. And that was just like rebuilding healthy habits. So that was like where his faith was. I think I wrote this to you in like an email where his faith now, something happened recently. I don't even remember what it was, but I just hit the floor so beat up. And I like had a moment where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Like, I am weary. That's how I felt.
Hmm.
And it was probably after this last like little bit with Jesse's dad. But I was just like, I am weary. And he looked at me and he said, you know what the Bible says about that? Don't grow weary in doing good. Keep running the race. Like, even
Hmm.
youths grow weary. And I was just like, who the heck do
Hmm.
you think you are? Like
Hmm.
quoting scripture to me. And he sent me a really long text that was like so encouraging, where he was like, this is what you need to lean on. And
Wow.
I was like, my, how the turntables have turned. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, and that was one of those like little moments where I was like, oh. we're gonna be okay. Like,
Mhm.
we're gonna be good. And so, yeah, so that's where his faith is now. We're definitely still like leaning on him making it his own. But at the same time, like my kids are all about 2 years apart. So Zoe's like in seventh grade, Titus is a sophomore, and Zeke's a junior. Yeah, because they're 1 grade apart.
Yeah.
And I just realized I want them to have their established faith like now as we walk to some really hard stuff. I don't want them to get to college and be like, oh, what is my faith? I'd really like
Yeah.
them to do it now. And that's what we said to him from the get-go. If you're gonna struggle like this, I'm really thankful we're struggling with it in our home. I'm thankful that you're dealing with all this now because I don't want you to struggle alone and or in a foreign place or anything like that. I'm glad that we're doing this here and now because this is safe. If you're gonna be anywhere struggling, this is a safe place to struggle. And so yeah, I think his faith has just kind of been made his own in a really cool way where he just gets to own he gets to own his story. Like he
Mhm.
has a really solid testimony now where he has gotten to talk to friends and be like, I know that sucks. I know what you're going through, but look. And it's
Mm.
just like a Christian kid in a Christian home from a like where your grandfather is a preacher and your great grandfather is a missionary and all of those like things for him to struggle and then be so like rooted. I'm like, there we go. It's not for naught.
Mhm. And what a gift for God to allow that to happen in your home. Like, you don't
Oh
want it to
yeah.
happen, but what a gift
No.
that it did happen under your protection still
Yeah.
and your presence so that you could have eyes on him
Yeah.
when he hit that lowest point. That's one of the best pieces of advice that I was given many years ago, which was let your kids fail.
Mm.
It's you wanna rescue them when they don't bring their tennis shoes to PE, right? Okay, maybe one time I'm gonna rescue you. Oh, I forgot my lunch. Okay, one time I'm gonna bring it. But if you do this over and over, rescuing your children on simple decisions that they can make on their own, you are setting them up to always you're gonna be there to rescue them,
Yeah.
and then big things are gonna happen, and there are some big things you can't rescue. Like, you couldn't rescue him from this. I
Yeah.
can't rescue my son from the addiction. And so it was such good advice because I just remember hearing that, and the analogy that she had used was if you keep doing that, if you keep getting them out of the consequences, the natural consequences of their behavior. I forgot my lunch, I don't eat. I forgot my lunch, I don't eat. And now we're a teenager and I was speeding, we got the ticket fixed. Or whatever it is, you may ultimately end up having a kid that's now speeding and has wrapped their car around a telephone pole
Yeah.
and you can't fix that. And I just remember it was a harsh reality, but I was like, "Ooh, that's right." And so I've had some conversations with some of my kids when they have failed miserably on something, and I let them share with me what's happened, and they've been remorseful or just beating themselves up like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done this or I shouldn't have let this go," or whatever. And I've tried to end those conversations with, "Man, I'm so proud of you." "Wait,
Yeah.
what? I screwed up royally." "You did. You did. And I am so proud of you that you recognize it as a screw up.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you did it right now. While there is still a very much a soft place to land in our home,
Yeah.
and we can help pick you back up and build you back up. And when we're doing that, we're also modeling exactly what Jesus is going to do in your personal relationship with him. This is not going to
Yeah.
be a father that's going to punish you and turn away from you and not accept you and love you and pick you back up and
Yeah.
use that pain for a purpose. But man, it's so hard, Jeanette, because it's one of those things where I desperately need Jesus, but I didn't know how desperately I needed him until I was desperate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not where I want my kids to be. Like, I
Yeah.
want my kids to just be able to like, be like, "Hey, mom, I'm holding on to the coattails of your faith." And
Yeah.
that's not reality, unfortunately. Some of the best testimonies from pastors and ministry leaders and things like that are somebody that can stand up and go, "Man, I went through some really hard things, and this is how Jesus got me through it." Those are the people that are changing lives in this dark world when they can say, "I've been there." That's the point of this whole season,
Yeah.
which is for
Yeah.
another mom to say, "I've been there, and this is
Yeah.
where how he got us through." But that's
Yeah.
hard. Like, I am Zeke in the car gripping the steering wheel. Like, I don't
Yeah.
wanna be in this position, Lord, where I have to surrender completely
Yeah.
my children to you. I'm all about surrendering me to you, but my kids,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Ouch.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's so fascinating because it's like for the gift that he's given us is to be able to share. And he said, if it'll help people, yeah, like I love that. And I'm like, cool. So I think like it's one of those things where it's he's so yeah, let's help people. And I'm like, let's hold tight. Let's not share too much. But then I'm like, why? Am I embarrassed? Is that me putting a mask on to say, no, we're all pulled together, we're fine. And it's, oh my gosh, no. Like, no, I want people to say, okay, it might look different for you. It might not be a depression season. It might be something totally different. But if you know that somebody else ahead of you was like, oh, Jeanette was in church worshiping and told God that this was all BS. Okay. Like maybe I can wrestle with God too. Maybe I can try to see the other side of whatever struggle in parenting is coming because man, there's nothing more humbling than raising kids. They're really
Yeah.
like it's the most humbling and humiliating. I almost said humiliating. But it's so humbling and it's so trying, but at the same time it's such a gift to surrender our children to the Lord because I was listening to a podcast today where she said our stories as believers are still being written as parents.
Mhm.
Our stories of faith aren't finished.
Yeah.
And so why do I think that I can control my kids' stories of faith? If my story's not done, their story's like just at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that are going to be encouraged by him, by what he gets to do with his story and how he gets to encourage people and how he gets to serve the Lord going forward, by me like quieting us, it's not doing any good. And so I
And
just
the
love that
enemy
you're doing that.
loves that. The
Oh,
enemy's
yeah.
gonna be like, "Keep this a secret. This is
Yeah.
bad. Put baby back in the corner and keep it a
Yeah.
secret," because he lives in the secret places.
Yeah.
He lives in that secret place, and those secrets
Yeah.
just will then brew shame and guilt and
Yeah.
pride and all the
Yeah.
other things that are gonna be added onto the layers that
Yeah.
when you speak it out, it takes the wind out of his sails.
Yeah. 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 I think if I have the joy to say anything, it's to say we've been there. We are on the other side. I'm thankful to be on the other side. That was one thing I said early last year. I was like, oh, I just want to be on the other side of this. And Zeke said, it hurts my feelings when you say that. Cause like the other side, I
Mm.
don't see another side yet. And I was like, I
Oh,
just know we're gonna get through it. I just know. And he was like, I I don't know. And I was like, we will. It'll be fine. I can't wait.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
you have to hold
yeah.
hope for your kids sometimes. But I was just like, I just longed for the other side. And now being on the other side, I'm like, I want to go back. I don't want to go back to that side. But I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful we walked through. I'm thankful for what it's done for our relationship. I'm thankful
Mm.
that that we struggled like this last year instead of even this year or another year or when
Mhm,
he's out of our home. And I'm thankful that we can encourage others and say, this generation is going to struggle a lot in different ways,
mhm.
but there's hope on the other side. And if you don't see the hope, like if you're like Zeke, where you're like, I don't see the other side. Okay, let me hold hope for you. That's fine. Like, I know that there's another side. I know that tomorrow will come. I know that joy comes in the morning. One of my favorite ways to even look at that verse is like the morning is in like the sorrow, like the MOUR, like the morning, like
Right.
joy comes through that morning. And so sometimes we have
Mm,
to mourn what we expected. And I'm like, there'll be joy tomorrow. It'll be okay. Like, we can do it.
yeah. Mhm. So for the mom that's listening that maybe has a child that's experienced this or is experiencing this, because I'm curious how you handled this as well. Did you put parameters in place or how have you been able to rebuild trust in him? Like
Mm,
that he's good enough for you to maybe go to Disneyland this Valentine's. Like, how do you
yeah.
rebuild that trust that you don't have to continue to helicopter anymore?
I think it took a lot. And there's even times where I'll be like, are we good? Are we good? I check in a lot more. And like you and I talked about before we hit record, asking the hard questions. Hey, how loud is this voice? How are we doing? What's going on in your head? Who are you texting? Like that kind of stuff. Like we check a lot. I think it was probably late in the summer that I was like, hey, I'm going to stop checking your phone as much as I was. It seems as though everything is going really well. I'm going to take a step back because it actually causes a lot of anxiety for me to check your phone. It's like a
Mm.
pretty big trigger for me. And so I was like, I'm going to start checking it like once a month or something like that. If I see cause for it. And he's okay, cool. And so it was just, and it's still something like I have to constantly check my motives. Am I seeing a cause to not trust him? Or am I making things up because of my own worry? And as we stepped into this month, I said, hey, I'm having a lot of PTSD feelings. And he's okay. How can I help you with that? What do I need to do? He's, do you want my phone? What do you need? And it was
Wow.
like, no, I know that I can trust you. Like you have shown growth and trust. So I'm going to sit in that, but I need you to know that I'm struggling. And he's okay. So honestly, for us to move forward, it was a lot of me having to like humble myself yet again to this kid of mine and be like, hey, I'm struggling here. And he'd be like, okay. I'm not kidding, Courtney. There was a time this summer where I thought like I spiraled so far out of control where I texted as though I was him on his phone because I was so anxious about something. And he was
Mm.
like, he forget I had to like tail tuck between my legs, say like, hey, I did something wrong on your phone. And he's like,
Mm.
oh, okay. Like I understand where your head went. That's fine. Are you good now? I'm like, I'm good now. And he's
I
like,
love how he's counseling you.
do you know what he wants to be when he grows up now? He wants to be a counselor.
Wow.
He wants to be a counselor. And that is probably one of the coolest things. And if it happens, cool. If it doesn't happen, cool. But he's very much like that. Do you feel better? I'm like, I don't, but I do. He's, okay. Do you need anything else for me? And so honestly, it was like he almost had to get some of this just like out of his system, like some of the misbehave, like the bad behavior. Like it's like he got out of his system and then he's like, I don't really want to do any of that anymore. I was
Mm.
like, okay. So there's still time. We still will be like, hey, let's do this real quick. Let's check on this. And he'll be like, yeah, you haven't done that in a while. Let's go ahead. I'm like, okay. So you and we have coaches involved in their lives and just other relationships and you just check in with those people like, hey, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And
Mm.
the one coach who like really pulled me aside and said, hey, something's wrong. Like this is not the kid I know. I'm like, I know. What do I do? What are we seeing? I saw him recently and I said, hey, how are we doing? Like what are you seeing? And I meant to call you the other day because this is the kid I know. This is the kid I know. And I was like, right? Okay. So it was like we had to helicopter and go hard for a little bit. Really, I don't think you drove for a month. You don't have a license now. I drive you everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it
Fair.
was like that slow kind of, he rocked a flip phone for a little bit of time. He learned how to T9 text. And so it was a lot of just like really like you strip everything away and then you just, okay, I think we can do this now. I think we can do this now. And then
Mm-hmm.
you see something, and you're like, I'm gonna hold that back. And then it came to me like questioning my motives of I don't want him to live under a life sentence for past mistakes. So so we just ask a lot like, hey, are you struggling with this right now? No? Okay, cool. What about this? And we just have a list of just like questions we ask on the reg. And right now we're on the process of weaning off medication. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm pretty not only my PTSD in this season, but now I'm like I'm watching you.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I'm like, okay.
And the key to everything that you have just shared is communication.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's in not keeping it hidden in your home. It's
Yeah.
openly talked about. This is not something we're ashamed of. This is
Yeah.
something that we're gonna all face head on. This is a family issue. This is not just
Yeah.
an issue between him and you and your husband. You like you
Yeah.
said, you have 2 other children that have witnessed this and
Yeah.
have seen the struggle, have seen the pain that he's been in. I'm sure they were affected by
Yeah.
knowing how sad he was feeling and desperate he was feeling. And so the communication, and I also love that you spoke to a coach who was seeing something different. Look, I
Yeah.
my kids have done all the things and I've registered them for way too many things. I was the mom running a million places. So I'm not a big proponent for that. Let's be in every
Yeah.
sport this season, but I am a huge proponent for be involved in something because
Yeah.
when you're involved in something, whether it's a team or another activity outside of the home or a church organization, so that other people know your child and
Yeah.
can say, hey, they're just seeming a little off, right? Something's not right. It's
Yeah. And
important.
And honestly, like, our day was saved by one of those kind of people. Like, one of those what
Yeah.
a teacher said, "Something's wrong. I'm gonna make you do this." And a coach was the first one to give us a heads up of something's off. And yeah, I believe that we if it wasn't for our best friend saving us that day, if it wasn't for a teacher walking him, it was 100% other eyes on him that said, there's something here. We have to do life with people. Like, we have to.
Mm.
There's no way we would have survived without our arms being held up. There's no way we could have been carrying him without the support of others. There's just no way. There's no way, because the only thing that would have happened is our own grief, and our own depression probably would have flared up in a different way, because you're trying to hide what's happening. And it just wasn't an option. And I'm so thankful it wasn't an option, because it was just too hard. It was too much. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
like, coaches, teachers, and if people homeschool, like, it's like there's still people around you that know your kids. And I'm so thankful. I was just looking at one of my best friends had her baby, like her little infant in a carrier and on her chest. And she's one of our CrossFit coaches, and she was coaching Zeke in CrossFit. And I said, I love your baby and you love mine. It's just we do life with people for purpose, so that there's people
Mm.
around us that love our kids when we struggle to love them, or there's people to
Mhm.
parent our kids when we can't parent them, or there's somebody who's seeing something off when we are too close to the situation to see it. And like, there's just community matters, like friendships matter.
That is the perfect way to end this podcast. Exactly what you just said, because sometimes they are hard to love, but there's others that love them. We don't know how to
Mm,
parent them. Somebody else can parent them. We don't
yeah.
see what you just said. Sometimes we don't see. I just had an incredible interview this week with a mom whose daughter slipped into anorexia, and
Mm,
she was not seeing it. It was a
yeah.
slow progression, and it was same with what happened with Zeke. It was a friend though that said,
Yeah.
This isn't normal." And she was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no, I think it's fine." But it's so similar to what you just said. It was almost like you're too close to see. And
Yeah.
so having those people around you that can go, "Yeah, something's not right."
Yeah. It's so
So I
good.
hate to end this conversation because you've had such wisdom for a mom that's listening. I'm gonna close out with two things. Number one, if there's a mom whose child is maybe acting out, or you're seeing some depression, maybe you've had the hard conversation and your child has admitted, I don't want to be here anymore. um, where do they go? What do they do? What are some of
Mhm.
the outside sources aside from friendship that you think saved your son's life?
And I wish there was like a book I had on hand that was just like, this is gonna help you. Um, I honestly was like really running. Like, I wasn't running, like I was just in the Bible. The Bible was the one book I could do. But I talked to my pastor, I talked to our pastor, I talked to my pastor's wife. I watched my pastor pray over my son, which was a beautiful thing. Um, I need to find that book. Let me tell you Strahan's book. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'll send you the link for it, where he talks about, I think his name is Strawn, but it's spelled Strawn's book, where he talks about like his depression and like his surrender to the Lord. That interview really did help me so much. I wish I had a list of things that was like, if you feel this, then do this, or if this is happening, read these books. But I almost felt paralyzed. And so the only thing I could do is read Proverbs. And just it was like, wise man fool. And my biggest prayer is always, anytime I read the Proverbs, my biggest prayer is, help me to remember that I am the fool. Like, I'm not the
Mhm.
wise man, I'm the fool. And I think Proverbs just really is where it's the only place I could set, because I couldn't really dive into much more than that, because I
Mhm.
felt so broken as well.
Mhm. And you mentioned that y'all immediately went to your doctor. I'm assuming
Yeah.
y'all's pediatrician, and said,
Yeah. Our family doc. Yeah. Luckily, he's a dear friend of ours, but we called the office immediately and said, hey, we need an appointment. This is what we're seeing. And he was like, okay, come right in. And so there was no shame in medication. There was much, if your child has a broken leg and you're gonna be like, nope, no cast for us.
"Yeah,
No, like, get
yeah,
a cast, set that bone.
right."
So yeah, we were immediately in our family doctor's office, and then it was like family doc, therapist,
Mhm.
all of it.
Yeah, it took a village. It took friends, it took a
Oh,
doctor, it took medication, it took
yes.
therapy, it took podcast interviews with people who had experienced
Yeah.
depression, books.
Yeah.
There's a multitude of resources out there. We just can't let
Yeah.
ourselves get paralyzed by the situation.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing we control as the moms when our kids are
Yeah.
going through something. are figuring out the resources that can help us help them get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So to close this out, what are you praying for right now that we could join you in prayer? And do you have a verse that you could share with us?
Mm. I am praying for hope right now. Let me find that verse real quick while I tell you. I'm praying for hope. I feel like I've said this for the last 2 years, but it's been true. We've been walking in a hard season, and it's a different season than what the last year was. But we're just praying for hope. My father-in-law is getting ready to meet Jesus, and that is so exciting for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad for us. And so we're just hanging out. And what the hope I want is not the hope I'm praying for is probably not the hope I'm going to get. And it feels like the rug keeps getting pulled out from underneath us. But I read this verse of hope again in Proverbs that just when I'm feeling feelings is where I hang out. And so the verse that came to my head today was hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is the tree of life. And man, the legacy my father-in-law is leaving is beautiful. And it is a rich, beautiful tree of life. And that is it. It's just hope deferred. And that deferred doesn't mean it's never coming. It just means it's like waiting. And we're just waiting. And man, my hope is in heaven. And sometimes I forget that because like I said, we're like, no, stay here with us. The earth is great. It's okay that you're in pain. Like we can fix that. And I just want to go to Jesus. And we're like, we just want you with Jesus. But that sucks for us. But the hope is heaven. And I'm thankful for that. But the hope deferred makes the heart sick. But a longing fulfilled is the tree of life. That's where I sit today.
Okay. Now I thought it was the last question, but it's not. When you have hope in Jesus, when you were facing this with Zeke, did you ever look at it from a perspective of, I'm sure you had lots of questions like, what if, when you were nervous, what if he does something to himself? What if this depression takes him from us? Were you ever able to see it from eyes of, even if this ends the way I don't, there's hope in Jesus? Were you able to put that lens on?
Yeah, I don't think I had to, if that makes sense. Like I think that like my hope was we're gonna beat this. This is a season. I think I know that in my heart, but I think I'm fortunate enough to have looked at it and been like, I don't need, like, not that I don't need that. Maybe I was just delusional enough to like, nope, tomorrow's coming. We're gonna be fine. But like that, even if I operate in that, even if like most of my life. And so I think I have that, but it was mostly just, nope, there's hope for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hope for tomorrow.
What a gift though, that
Yeah.
in such a difficult time that hope was held in your heart and God gave you a vision of victory. What I was talking about in the closet, a vision of
Yeah.
victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to
Here
my
on earth,
sweet,
not victory in heaven. Like we know the
yes.
victory, right? But
Yes.
victory can be had on earth too.
Yeah, my sweet friend who does my nails, we were talking about everything, and I said, there's a weird peace as we walk through this season, and she's like, Jeanette, that's like the peace that surpasses all understanding. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. That is what we have. And so yeah, so I feel like there was hope that passes all understanding in that season. And yeah, like there's like, I don't know, maybe a little maybe like a sprinkle of delusion and a little bit of hope and a little bit of
Not
caffeine. That's
not a
just
bad cupcake. Not a bad cupcake.
yeah.
Friend, it was so good to chat with you.
Oh my
I'm so
gosh.
grateful for you sharing this hard story and prayers for your father-in-law and your entire family over the next couple of weeks or months or however long it
Yeah.
takes. I know it's been a long battle for him with the cancer,
Yeah.
and Jesus is going to beckon him home, and
Mm.
it's going to be, y'all are going to be in that juxtaposition of do we celebrate or mourn? But
Yeah.
having that peace, knowing where he's going, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna see you again. Yeah.
Thank you. I love you, friend. You're so great. Thanks for doing all your ministry work and encouraging and for having these conversations. These are hard conversations, but you are seeing moms and friends right where they need to be seen. And I'm really thankful for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Too.
Remember to check the show notes for links to the books and all of the resources mentioned in today's episode. If you want to print, screenshot, or share this week's verse, head to the show notes where you're going to find a link to my website and a graphic for you to use. Thanks so much for listening to Masquerade of Motherhood with Courtney Doyle. We want to be sure this blesses you and other mothers. And in order to do this, first, you must subscribe. This way you won't ever miss an episode. Also, if you'll rate and review this podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening, this will increase our reach to other mothers who need a little encouragement, a community, and a whole lot of Jesus. We're so glad you're here.